All right, so the first thing I want to show you guys before we move into motion and finish out the tracking is how I've kind of separated my stuff here and how I've saved multiple versions of each file. And I think this is actually rather important just because I want you to really have a sense of organization about this, because I feel like as you start moving through the process, especially with motion, it's good to save multiple files, because if you save multiple files, what's going to have happening is it's going to screw up. You're just going to screw up whatever. The learning curve here is really steep, okay? And instead of going back and having to redo everything, if you're just smart and you save your files as you go along, it's much better. So what you can see that I've done here, let's just stretch this out so we can see the names here, okay, is I have my first green screen demo motion. So here's my green screen test. That's my Final Cut profile. Then I have my green screen demo, and that's when I just ordered them and I put the green screen Primat RT filter on the top layer, okay, and I save that. Then I started choosing all my targets for the motion tracking, for the analyze motion. Once I got those all set, I saved that. And then I hit the analyze button. And once the analyze button was done, I hit save again and saved it as a third file. So basically at this point I could go backwards through my files and change, or get rid of one of them and go back a step if something was really screwed up. And so I think that's really important to be able to do, because this process is a complicated process. But now that we've done this and I've identified several tracks that actually completed their analysis, that's not to say that they're perfectly accurate, but actually completed their analysis, we're going to go through and we're now going to pick the best two. And it should work out pretty well for us. So let's just go, here's my timing, here's my project, we're going to get both of those. And you can see in my analyze motion here how I have 6 tracks that actually completed what they did. And one of the things that I can do here is I can start to just kind of check to see which one's the most accurate. And by that I will just turn them off. Whoops, I turned one back on again. The memory requirements here are pretty impressive for this stuff. I mean, these are not slow computers. These are pretty fast Macs that we've got here, and they're still poking along sometimes. So what I might just do here is, now that I've got this, let's turn the audio off. And I'm just going to watch that dot and see how accurate it is. It's pretty accurate. It's staying about in the same place. It did jump around a little bit, but it's doing all right here. So track number 3 is pretty good as I'm looking through here, through the whole thing. That's staying in the right place, and that is a really stable one. So we're gonna immediately just recognize the fact that this point, number 3, while it jumps around a little bit, is a really good point to make our anchor. So even at the end there, it really stuck to it. Even when he's really moving around. So that's good to know. So we're going to take track 3, we'll turn off. Let's take a look at track 7 and see what track 7 does here. So this is track 7 right here. And I have a funny feeling it's going to slide around a little bit, but let's just see. So starts out, because that's a lower contrast area. Still doing pretty good. Might even be doing better than the other one, than track 3 was, which is impressive. It's really staying where it needed to be, isn't it? That's really cool. Good. Wow. I'm very impressed. Let's see what it does at the end here when the camera goes a little off. It stays really well. So 7 was maybe even better. And you really only need 2 or 3 good ones. So let's just try the next one and see what this one does. So we're going to start here, and It is, oh, right at that ledge right there. Okay, so let's just see what happens here. It's staying pretty good too. Now it's off. So see now how it's way over there? All right, so this one's useless. So track 9 is useless. We're going to hit remove. So goodbye, track 9, sorry. All right, track 13. So a lot of it is just this analysis. You want to analyze and see which ones really work. So this one's staying, that's staying pretty good, still staying really good. This one's working out really well, at least so far. For the sake of our demo, I don't think I'm going to move on to 14 and 15, but I would check those too. This one looks good enough. We'll just keep this one as part of our track. And then at the end, it goes a little crazy. Let's see what happens at the end here. Boy, that's staying stable. This is way better than my first attempt. Now that stays really good, except for the last couple frames. All right, so I'm not even going to bother with 14 and 15. We're doing pretty good. So we've got track 7, track 3, and track 13, and they're all working really well, and they all stay with their specific target points. So now we get to see the magic actually happen. So I'm going to turn group 2 back on here by checking it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a motion matcher, a motion matching filter, and I'm going to add that match filter to the group. So I'm just going to go over to my library, to my behaviors, motion tracking, and there's a match move. And I'm going to grab that and just drag that onto the group. And what's going to happen is that match move comes in, and the heads-up display is here. I like to go to the inspector. And what we're going to do is right now it's set to, the source is actually set to the video clip below it, which normally you think, oh, that's what we want. But if you take a look over here, you can see it started a whole new track with just one point. No. We just went through a whole bunch of work to get a good tracking solution out of that bottom layer with our analyze motion. Well, the good news is all we have to do is click here, and you'll see it says, oh, there's another option, the analyze motion for that same layer. So we're going to click that, and then you'll notice the source icon changes to a little gear, which is a symbol for a behavior. And so we're going to take that behavior, and now we can attach it to our track. What we want to do is our transformation, horizontal and vertical, you can choose just one or the other. We want position and rotation to stay. We might want scale, but we'll try it without first. Now what we can do is we can set what our anchor is going to be and what our rotation scale is going to be. Because 7 was, 3 is a little further away, so maybe it's the better one. It's really good to flip-flop these, but let's just see what it looks like with the motion applied to it, and then we can start changing some things. So there's a little slide there. See some sliding. It's not really working really great. And I think that's because track 3 jumped around a lot. But all in all, it's not bad, is it? It's, some problems there. And that jumping is when we saw when track 3 was kind of wobbling back and forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop that right now. We've got 3 good tracking points. Let's swap. So we're going to say track 7 and then track 13, and let's just see if it's better. It's looking better. It's not wobbling as much when it's still. Yeah, this is a better track. A much better track. Yeah, see how it's a lot more stable? So this is a good point. That one track, number 3, was good, but it wasn't the best. And so that's why it's good to have some okay, we're going to have some major problems there, but we'll deal with that later. It still looks pretty good, doesn't it? It does rotate a little bit. Let's try take rotation off and hit scaling on and see what happens. That's pretty cool. See how it's scaling her up and down as he moves away and forward? That's pretty cool. That's actually working really well. And then the rotation is gone. So let's see what that looks like towards the end. And what's neat is you can continue to experiment with this, but all that work that we did yesterday is paying off big time right now because we've got a good track. Okay, not so good there though. But we can adjust that. So I think we should just keep scale and or position and rotation here. Just for fun, let's try track 14 and see what happens. Just, who knows? You can already tell, well, it's not too bad. It's definitely more wobbly. See how it's kind of like rotating her a little bit? So track 14 might not be as stable as we might like it to be. But it's doing better than track 3 was. It's nice and stable now, pretty stable. Yeah, so I think no matter what we do, the ending is going to have to be adjusted by hand. That's okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to track 7 and 13. That seemed to be the best. Now, here's how you smooth it out. And this is a pain in the buttinsky, but it works, unfortunately enough. When you do anything like this, really what this is, guys, is a form of animation. It's 2D animation. You're using a tracker to help you. In any kind of tracking that you're going to do, or any type of motion matching, or any time you're doing any compositing and you're trying to match anything, when you start doing transformations, it is basically animating the top frame. So if I hit my Analyze Motion here, and then I go to my Keyframe Editor, you will see the series of keyframes that the computer is basically making. Now that just looks like an awful mess, but we can sort it out and make it at least a little bit better. First off, we know we're not using track 3, so we're going to turn track 3 off. We also know we're not using track 14 or 15, so we'll turn all those off. Now this looks a lot more manageable. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn off track 13 as well, and we're just going to deal with track 7. And so what track 7 is going to do here is we can go in frame by frame and check and then adjust the position of our marker, of our tracker. And this will give us a much more accurate tracking system. So it's maybe not the most glamorous job in the world, but it does work. So I'm going to turn off track 3 here, and we're going to even turn off track 13. We're just going to deal with this one. I'm going to click on it, and you can see right there, that's where the tracker started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on my timeline, which is right down here, okay, until I can see each individual keyframe. Yes, this does kind of stink, but that's okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward for each one, and I'm going to watch to see if each one, if it moves. And you can just hit the left or the right arrow button. And if this right here moves a majority of the amount, we're going to actually grab that point and we're going to change it. So it's staying really stable right now. This is good. But now here we have some major changes coming up. That's where this Keyframe Editor really helps us. Notice what we have here is we have X, Y, and confidence. We're not going to really worry about the confidence yet. The confidence of this tracker is pretty high. That's the computer saying, I'm going to lean a lot on the data here. If the confidence is low, it may take from another tracker when it starts to plot a solution. But its confidence in this is pretty high. Now here's the interesting thing for me. If you remember yesterday when I placed this tracker, I think I even said, that's probably not the best place for a tracker because it's really low contrast. And yet it's one of the most stable ones I've got. So finding an easily defined area and something with a vertical and a horizontal line and something that doesn't move around too much is a good, and doesn't get obscured, doesn't go off the frame. That's really your key. And so as I keep going forward frame by frame, I can adjust this. So let's say I need to adjust it. I just click in here on this keyframe, and notice as I start to drag, look what's happening to the keyframes in the bottom in the timeline. See that? It's adjusting, and look what's happening to her. See how she's rotating? Okay? This is because I've adjusted that keyframe. I'm going to undo that, thank you very much. Okay? And see how she comes back. So what you can do with your tracking is you can go pixel by pixel, and you can start to adjust it. So let's say I've done a few adjustments. I haven't, but I've done a few. Now's a good time to save. Yes? Yes. So now's a good time to save. And again, like I suggested before, I'm going to hit Save As. And I've got my demo file here. And instead of motion analyzed, I'm going to say adjusting track. So that I know that what I'm doing is I'm now adjusting the tracking that I've gotten. The other thing that might help you is also to like V1, V2. This is V4. So I'm going to go dash V4. And then I will rename all the others V1, V2, V3 so that they're in order so I know which order they went to. So it's always good to use a numerical system if you can. So now let's just say, let's go to the end here, where it goes really off. So here's where it goes really off, right? Let's go and take a look at our tracker here. Our tracker is still in the exact same place until we get to this. And now it's going to start going crazy. So let's just see what happens here. Boom, boom, boom. It's still moving, it's still moving. It's not going too bad. It's not going too bad here. So it's the other track that really is messing up at the end here. So I'm track 7. We'll have to go to track 13 and see what 13 is doing. But I'm just, and here this last one is really bad. So let's see what happens to the last one. So if I go to the last one here, now it's really messing up. So what I can do now is I can either go in and I can grab this point and I can drag it down. Okay. And then I can start sliding it around in here to get it right back where it should be. Okay. Then I'll go to the next one. The next one's just as bad. And I can go ahead and set it back to where it should be. And so you can go through by hand and set each one of these keyframes so that the tracker is now more accurate. And that's the end of my shot. So you can kind of see I've made this better now. A lot better. Okay, and then I would go and do the same thing with the other tracker. Once I do that, I'm going to have a much better solution. So I'm going to hit Save, and then I would turn off track 7, and I'm going to go back and turn on track 13. And now I'm going to start at the beginning all over again and look at track 13. Where is track 13? Turn it off, turn it on here so that I can see it. Track 13 was right here. Click on that. Okay. Really? That's where it started? Oh, so track 13 started here. Oh, so track 13 started here. And so now I can go forward keyframe by keyframe and see how it's jumping around a lot more? See, do you guys see that? This is the tracker. It's a good tracker, but see those little jumps? We want to avoid those. So if I'm going to go back to the beginning, where I'm starting right is right here in the corner. So I have to go keyframe by keyframe and adjust these little screw-ups frame by frame. And when I do that, oh, see now, why did all these go on? I just want 13. There we go. And so when I do that, I can have confidence that the tracker is in the right place. So the last one, it needs slid just a little bit, so I'm just going to move it just a tiny bit. There. And keep going. So this is how you basically do it. This is why motion tracking is a job. Okay, there are people, that's what they do, motion tracking. Once I get all this taken care of, it'll look really good. Why did it come back on again? I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. Anyway. But also take a look at this. If I turn on track 13, when you start to see areas like this with a massive drop in confidence here, the computer is saying, whoa, the tracker did something I wasn't expecting. I'm not so sure about it. Those are areas that you really need to pay attention to, or other major spikes. So everything should be pretty smooth. But then when you get to the end, you can see we have these major spikes. You know that something's really going wrong with the tracker there. So that's where you need to watch that. Okay? So does this make sense? I'm not going to go through the whole bit of adjusting every point for you. I'm going to just kind of leave that be and do that too. The other thing that's bad about this, just to let you know, I might actually go back to the other tracker that's over here, because these 2 points are very close to each other. Very close to each other. And so they're not going to get as accurate a measurement of the rotation, the movement of the camera as they would from one that's over here versus this one. So that can be also rather important, is if they're really close together, your tracking may not be quite as good. It might be. It might still be really good. A lot of it depends upon the scene and how much motion there is in the camera. But it's also always good to kind of give yourself one that's further away if you can. And like I said, I didn't really check track 15. Maybe I'd go back in there and check track 15 and see what it did. But you know, just to get myself a little spread. But these two are a little close together because this one's here and the other one's here. That's a, you know, well, it looks like it's working, so I'm not going to argue too much. The last stage, which I'll do as a completely separate demo, I'm not going to do that today, is obviously to get rid of the floor on our green screen here and the other stuff, which is going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt because she walks in here, and so I'm going to have to do a mask, and I'm going to have to animate it along this back side here as she walks in so that I don't show the floor. And then we're going to have to put a second layer with this concrete barrier on top of her layer and then apply the motion to it as well so that she looks like she's behind it. And actually what I might do is a mask there as well. And I'll show those to you in different demos, but I think I've done enough for today. So does this make sense, at least the concepts that are here? You won't really know what you're doing until you try it. So what we're going to do right now is say we're full green to go on this assignment. I think we've got the kinks ironed out a little bit, and with a little ingenuity, I think you guys will be able to do it and do it well and hopefully have some fun and do something funny or fun or serious, whatever, but something really cool and creative with this project.